And son, stand up straight. You're working towards being a specialist. This is level 2 of boot camp. It's working on two-step equations. Here's our goal for today: to solve two-step equations in one variable. And in order to be successful, we're going to work on inverse operations as we did in section 1. We're going to work on them using them in the correct order because you'll have to use 2 of them per equation this time. So what we're going to go to is our one vocabulary term for today. Make sure this is in your notes if it's not already in your section 1 notes, which would be inverse operations, mathematical operations that undo each other. In other words, they're opposites. So opposites, we have addition and subtraction. Those are opposites, or subtraction and addition. The order doesn't matter. Multiplication and division, which again, we're not using the x for multiplication anymore. Why? Because it's a variable, and we're going to be using x a lot. You could flip it around, division and multiplication. But those are the main sets of inverse operations that are going to undo each other. So there's that good old saying, what you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other. We're going to come, that's going to come into play today as well. So here's what we're going to do. Two-step equations. Here's an example. We have 2 examples right here. Example number 1, 9x minus 17 equals negative 62. In a second, you'll be able to solve that really quick. We also got y divided by 12. Minus 9 equals negative 11. Same thing. It's going to take us 2 quick steps. Check your answer. You're good to go. That's how specialists do it. This is boot camp, y'all. All right. Procedure. We've got, first step, locate the variable and start by working on that side, just like we did with one-step equations. So in example 1, our variable is on the left side. We're going to work on the left side first. Step 2, eliminate what is not attached to the variable by adding the opposite value. You must do this to both sides of the equation. All right? So I'm going to highlight what's most important to write down. Step 1, all of it's important to write down. Locate and start by working on that side. Step 2, eliminate what is not attached to the variable. Okay? We're going to do that by opposite operations. So example, in this first one, now we'll get to it. Step 3, what to write down. Now eliminate what is attached to the variable by opposite operations. It'll be multiplication or division. So it's always going to be addition or subtraction first. It's always going to be multiplication or division second, unless we have more going on than just these, just 2 steps. But we'll get to that in the next session. Number 4, step 4, when your variable is by itself on one side, you are finished. Be sure to make sure it's a positive variable and you have the thing written in lowest terms. And final, step 5, check your answer. So if you have each step written down with what's underlined there, you're golden. So if you want to pause it and make sure you have those written down, that would be ideal. Next, we're going to do a couple examples. Make sure you have these examples down. We're just going to do 3 of them right here together. All right? Number 1, 9x minus 17 equals negative 62. Look at your steps that you just wrote down. We said find the variable, start on that side. So we're looking, variables right here, we're going to start on this side. Next thing it said to do was eliminate anything that's not attached to the variable. So the 9 is attached to it. It's multiplied by it. So let's get rid of whatever's not attached. That would be the minus 17. So the opposite or the inverse operation of minus 17 is plus 17. You nailed it. Plus 17 will cancel out this minus 17. They're opposites. They get rid of each other. They become 0. But what you do to one side of the equation, you must do it on the other side of that equal sign. So we're going to plus 17 over here. Okay? What's left over here is just 9x. And on the right side, negative 62 plus 17, I believe, is negative 45. Now step 3 says to eliminate whatever is attached to the variable. So if you look at this right here is 9x, or 9 times x. So the inverse of times is divide. So we're going to divide by 9. We don't want to divide by x because we want the x to stay there. We want that by itself. We want to just divide by the 9 to get rid of that. So if we divide by 9 there, we divide by 9 here, cancel out, and you get x equals -5. And there's your answer. How can you check it? I'll check it on this one. I'm not going to check it on everyone for the sake of time, but I'll check it on this one. So off to the side, to check it, plug it back in. 9 times -5 minus 17. And we're going to ask our question, is that equal to -62? Well, do the math, whether it's in your calculator or on your paper. 9 times -5 is -45. Minus 17 gets you -62. So -62 equals -62. That's a happy smiley face. We did it right. But my guess is it'll take you a while to figure that one out on your own without using these steps, which is why we have these lovely steps to follow in solving equations. They're logical, they make sense, they're based on opposites. All right, let's go to number 2. Number 2, we have some division and some subtraction. So we're going to start by the left side. That's where our variable is. Let's first get rid of anything that's not attached to the variable. So our -9 is not attached. We're going to add 9. That would be the inverse. What you do to one side, you must do to the other. And the divider is that equal sign. So this will cancel each other out. It becomes 0. We just have y divided by 12 equals whatever -11 plus 9 is. What is it? It is -2. Now, we have one step left. That operation that's on the left is division. So the inverse is multiplication. So we're going to multiply by 12 on this left side. When you multiply by 12, which is the same as 12 over 1, it cancels it out. And really, you're just left with 1 on the bottom, which is great. Y over 1 is just the same as y. Don't forget, what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. -2 times 12 is -24. And to check, you could plug it back in. If I wanted to do this mentally, I'd do -24 divided by 12, which gets me -2. Minus 9 would be -11. Boom. Done. Excellent. All right, last example I'm going to go through with you right now is 8 more than 5 times the number. This is all worded. We have to write it out, man. But hey, we did this last chapter. How do you write out 8 more than 5 times the number is -62? So right away you should know is -62 is going to be equals -62. Okay? Let's figure out that part in front of the equals. 8 more than 5 times the number. Well, 8 more than something, you'd have to add 8 to it. So we're going to write plus 8 to it. And how do you write 5 times the number? Well, if our number is x, we're going to do 5 times x, which is just 5x. Let's check under here to see if I did that right. 5x plus 8 equals -62. Yes, we did. Once you got that, follow the same steps, and we will solve. So let's take our 2 steps. Get rid of what's not attached first. That's that plus 8, so we're going to do -8, inverse. We have to do it to the other side. Don't forget that. What's left over on the left side of the equal sign is this 5x. That's the only thing that's left over. And on the right side, that becomes -70. So now we can get rid of what's attached to the x. It's like opposite of PEMDAS for solving equations, because we're kind of undoing things. So we're doing it in an inverse order. Since it's 5 times x, we will do divided by 5 to cancel out that 5 and get the x all by itself, which is what we've been dreaming about this whole time. And -70 divided by 5 is -14. Double check me. I think that's right. If you plug it back in, I think it'll work. So there we go. X equals -14. Why don't you pause for a second? I'm going to give you... I'm just going to give you 2 of these examples. Do these 2. I know it says 1 and 4, but hey. Those are the ones I want you to try. So pause these for a second. Pause it for a second. Work these 2 out. Unpause it, and I'll show you how to do it. All right, check it out. Number 1. Got rid of what was not attached first. That's the plus 8, so I subtracted 8 on both sides. I got 2x equals 6. This is where I'm at right now, after the first step. Now if I have 2 times x, divide it by 2. That's the inverse. Get x by itself, you end up with x equals 3. There we go. Question number 4 here, which is the second one. I know we have the variable on the right side, but that's fine. We'll just start from the right side. First, we get rid of what's not attached. That's that negative 12. So the opposite is plus 12. So right here, I added 12 to both sides. You end up with 6w on the right side and 30 on the left side. And to undo 6w, that is 6 times w. So we are going to divide by 6. It's the opposite of multiplying. And we can divide by 6 on the left side. And we end up with 5 equals w, which is the same as w equals 5. There we go. All right, last question I want you to think about here is my closing question. How do you go about solving this one right here? Something to think about. We didn't do one like this in this section, but I want you to try to think about how you would go about solving that. Okay? There's a little bit of a division part here, and there's a minus 4 after that. It's a little bit of a funky problem, but we're going to get into that coming up soon. So let's revisit our goal. The goal is to solve two-step equations with one variable. I think we did that. Each of these takes 2 steps. It's logical. It's based on what we did with 1 step, just adding a step to it. So I hope you learned something today. Hopefully soon you'll become a true specialist. See you later.